You got something to add?
Absolutely
Okay.
not. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. It was beautiful. Oh, shout out to so many people. Mardo Cigars for being an LCA, which is Limited Cigar Association provider for these cigars. This is the Cajun microwave from Privada Cigar Club. I should probably start this way. What's going on, everybody?
Bye.
It's half the Bourbonist here. On
Impromptu.
May the 4th be with you. That's when we're recording anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got the Cajun microwave here from Privada Cigar Club, and then the exclusive Privada Cigar Club bourbon, which, my friend, this is an absolute cherry bomb.
Both of these are treats.
Oh my gosh. The Cajun microwave is just an explosion of bread and
Little
love.
bit of white pepper.
Yeah. Not
A little bit of
when I
zest.
hear Cajun, because when I first bought it, it was like, oh, it's gonna be spicy, right? Not really.
No, at
Not
least
really at
at
all.
the start, it's not. But to me, it feels like it's a lighter cigar.
It's just wonderful. That's not sour. That's like wheat bread,
Yeah.
like real, like maybe honey wheat even.
Well, and the wrapper just before you light it up, it has kind of like sense of like very barnyardy.
Oh yeah.
I would almost even say there's definitely like a pretty rich manure.
Yeah.
Smells like shit.
Let's do the puff test. Oh yeah. Okay, this is crazy. I get like a backyard barbecue kind of vibe. Like smoked meat.
I didn't get any meat, but I got like black pepper. Like there's a spice, but it's not like
Overwhelming.
it's not like what I would think of like Cajun spice. This is just kind of like a cracked black pepper.
Yeah.
The sweetness note, there's a sweetness I just can't, for the life of me,
Figure out.
I can't figure out what that is. It was almost more honey. But yeah, both of these are excellent.
Delicious treats. So we're going to talk a little healing today.
About another treat.
Yeah, right. The treat of healing. It's been a while since we've sat at this table. We've been going through some shit and trying to figure some stuff out. And I mean, that's the reason Joseph's not here, because his wife's pregnant with twins, and
Other Joe.
other Joe, who has 6 children of his own. One of them under, I guess he's 6 months old now. And yeah, just talking about some necessary medicine for healing.
If I may.
Yeah.
At least for me, the past year and some change, I was just surviving.
Yeah.
But I was surviving on my own terms.
Yeah.
And I had a nice little wake-up call earlier this year, and ever since then, been with God's help, I've been learning what it truly means to live, because in the past 28 years of my life, I have never been living.
Yeah.
I've been surviving or
Masking, maybe.
depending upon the times. Like I've had very good times.
Yeah.
I've had very good times in my 28 years. But compared to what
You're only 28.
compared to what I'm learning right now, I have not even touched the surface of what it truly means to live. And God has been very patient with me and God's been God with me.
Mm.
He's been who he says he is.
Yeah.
And I'm just learning even more on who does he even say he is and what does that mean.
Yeah.
And that's a lifelong journey.
Sure.
But thanks to him, I am actively seeking what does it mean? Like, who do you say that you are and what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like that second part. What does that actually mean? That's what I'm actively seeking.
Trying to figure out.
Well, we're never going to figure it out.
Don't be so sure.
Because the moment we get even just a sliver, because that's all he gives us, because that's all we can take. The moment he gives us a sliver, that's when 30 more questions come. And that's the way he likes it. That's why science is supposed to point to the creator, right? Science is the study of the creation.
Yeah.
The creation should always point back to the creator. It's just like art.
Yeah.
Right? Every artist has a very specific stroke style, very, very specific painting style or drawing style or sculpting style.
Yeah.
That if you know where to look and what to look for, you can always see the artist in every one of his pieces or her pieces. But that's why I fell in love with science, is every time I looked at science and looked at it deeply, it always pointed back to him.
Yeah.
Because scientists always come up with, we don't know why it is the way it is, but it is. And it's like, that's called God, brother. Welcome. And then they're like, no, I believe in the Big Bang. And it's like, well, you're just describing creation. You're just saying, you're being a blockhead because you're too afraid to say that it's God. When I would say it takes more faith in something wrong to believe in the Big Bang Theory than it is to believe in creation.
The funny thing, I heard a pastor say this years ago. He said, of course there was a Big Bang when the earth was created. If you opened your mouth and spoke stars and planets into existence, do you think that wouldn't create the loudest bang you've ever heard in your life? Of course it was a Big Bang. They got that part right. But the rest of it is like, what? Just came out of nothing? And why didn't that happen again?
And when God farts, hurricanes happen.
I don't know if that's true.
I don't know. Those are pretty massive gusts.
But yeah, talking about healing and the things that lead to it and the things that men need to do to get to that point. Because, I mean, the first step to understanding that you need healing is accepting that there's something wrong. And that's probably, that is one of the hardest things for men to come up against, is admitting that there's something wrong.
I would say anybody.
Well, yeah.
It's human nature to go, I've got my shit figured out.
Mm.
And then usually it takes a nice little swift slap to the face to get you to finally be like, oh, what?
No,
I don't?
Mine's a big old kick in the keister. But
whichever part of the body you like getting hit in is
won't
neither
hit you
here
there.
nor there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we and this is something that it was kind of during Shia LaBeouf's conversion.
Oh, yeah.
He was like, and he was on the podcast with John Bernthal. He's like, I feel like part of a life, and this is very much a thing about men, is sometimes you just got to mess it all up.
Yeah.
But that's when you hit the ground from falling for so long and you finally hit the ground, you hit rock bottom, it hurt, it's gonna hurt, but that's what you need in order to wake up and be like, I want to be done with this. And the same thing with me losing weight. When I lost 100 pounds in 14 months, right before I started losing weight, I looked in the mirror and I was like, in my heart, because for years, in my mind, I'd see myself and be like, I hate this.
Yeah.
And then I turn that inward and be like, I hate you.
Yep.
And then finally, it hit a point in which I hit rock bottom emotionally and mentally, that it was, oh no, I'm done with this and I want to be done with this. And that's where the active, your ability to go, okay, I have something wrong.
Yeah.
That's what comes forth. But you got to hit the ground hard sometimes.
Yeah. Sorry, I keep getting distracted by all the bugs that are flying around. I dislike episodes in the summer the most because there's just bugs everywhere.
That's when I'm not shaking during our episodes, though, which is
gross. Yeah, man. Like, I've been on this weird. So for ADHD participants,
I don't know if participants is the right word.
But ADHD participants, they have a tendency to be what's known as dopamine addicts. And it doesn't look right, but it's the course that we have because we messed up the other one. They have a tendency to be dopamine addicts, which means it doesn't matter what it is, as long as it gives you a rush, you cling to it. So that whether that be nicotine, whether it be like, for me, like doom scrolling is a huge problem. So that, or spending money on things, like I'm always thirsting for
that quick
fix. And it destroys you because it fries the part of the brain that says, hey, I need you to create all these norepinephrine, epinephrine, dopamine. Like, I need you to create these things by yourself. Your brain instead goes, I need to get this fix, so I'm going to find it instead of produce it. Mm-hmm. So essentially, like, the brain is just constantly hunting for that next feeling. And so this came up recently talking with my spiritual director of, like, all the distractions that I use in my life to handle life. And then I wonder why I've got temperament issues. And I wonder why, I dealt with temperament issues. And I wonder why I dealt with just the fallout of not having those things so harshly. And it's because I was focused so much on Band-Aids rather than the elixir that would heal. It's a very, like, there's so many common misconceptions of the ADHD for sure. That, like, people say, it's like the number one thing that people say about ADHD is, like, it's a focusing problem. It's not a focusing problem. It's an overwhelming problem. So, like, it's not that my brain can't focus, it's that my brain is focused on so many things that I'm overwhelmed. So focusing on one thing doesn't make any sense. It's not a, oh, squirrel. No, it's not like I'm looking at this and then it goes over here. I'm looking at this and thinking about 30 other things. And so focusing on one thing doesn't make any sense because I'm overwhelmed and I got to take care of all of it. It's an all or nothing mentality, which is why healing is such a hard thing, at least personally for me, because I'm looking at something as like this problem but there's a million other problems that are attached to it. It's like a chain reaction, right? So when I look at one thing, I see 10 things, and I have to fix all of them. Otherwise, it won't work. It doesn't make any sense. Taking small steps is not a thing that I do. It's either nothing or I have to have everything. And which is a horrible thing when you have a family, because you're not like it's very difficult to prepare for things, and it's very difficult to plan things, and it's very difficult to organize things because everything has to be perfect. And if all of it can't be perfect at one time, then I'm stuck in a position of then nothing can be worked on because I can't do one thing at a time. Like Demetrius, one of my favorite things that he's ever told, I don't know if it was on the episode, this was 2 years ago now. I don't know if it was on the episode or just in person, but he was talking about how he starts like 20 different projects, and it takes him a year to finish all of them. Because he'll start and do and then stop, and then start and do and then stop, and then be like, oh, this idea is awesome. It doesn't diminish the amazingness of the ideas that he has. It's just like producing all of them, which is why he had to start hiring people like Nick to like help quantify, okay, so this idea I can help with, but you got to put it in my hands, brother. Mm-hmm. And when I get overwhelmed, I search for, like, this is what, like, if I get overwhelmed, my number one thing that I'll do, even in the middle of the conversation sometimes,
is distract.
And I'll just be like, oh, let's see, there's a notification on Facebook. Let's figure this out. Oh, yeah, okay, cool. How are the Cardinals doing? And then I get distracted. And I can easily figure out what I want. Oh, yeah, Cardinals won 6-3.
See, I like how you're even doing it right now.
Right, exactly. I'm doing it right now. Like,
I was looking over at your phone to see if you were just like mocking it. No, he actually
I'm actually
Facebook
sitting here.
And
I
then
checked
swiped
Facebook
off
first because there was a notification.
Yep.
And then I was like, oh, I saw the Cardinals. Oh, there, I got to go to my MLB
literally
app.
vocalizing what, yeah.
It's literally what happens. It is verbatim what happens every single time. And then it becomes an overindulgence issue. Mm-hmm. So it becomes I'm going to have a drink with a friend. No, I'm going to have 10 drinks and get pulled over. Or, you know what I mean? Like, it's...
Or, shit, starting off number one, that's like 3 drinks right there in one cup.
Yeah.
Well, you should have seen it when we started.
Yeah. But I probably poured, 4 ounces in there? 4 or 5 ounces?
You had it up to the middle of the N and D.
Yeah. But, like, I have to forcefully recognize I shouldn't have any more than this, because otherwise it's going to affect me tomorrow morning. Right? We have a bottling event a barrel pick event on Saturday. I'm going to be at the distillery all day. I have to consciously, because my brain is going to want it. Mm-hmm. It's because it tastes good and it feels amazing. And it's not, and my wife and I used to get in this argument all the time of like, you drink to get drunk. No, I don't. I hate feeling drunk. I drink because I like the taste and I like how it makes me feel. Not drunkenness feeling, but I like the warmth and I like the taste. It's the same as food. Food and dopamine are 100% related. Mm-hmm. Like if you're cranky, what's the acronym? Oh my gosh, HARM. Hungry, angry, something. No, hurt. I'm sorry. Or maybe it's heart. HART.
I don't know.
Hurt. What is that acronym?
It has to do with food, though.
Yeah, it's like when you're irritated, it's one of 4 things. It's hungry, something tired. And, but hunger is like a huge reason or thing that people use to get over their emotions is they eat.
And then you get a woman with all 4. I'm kidding. Kind of.
Oh no, I've been talking too long. But the point is like I've got it. It becomes an overindulgence issue. It becomes an issue of okay, cool. So I need this to feel something right now, right? Mm-hmm. Is it really gone that fast? My goodness. Where's the other one? But it becomes an overindulgence issue, and then that makes it that much harder to heal, because you're trying to heal all these things that you have now become addicted to. And cutting him cold turkey, no psychologist in the world is going to go, yeah, do it cold turkey. You'll have a good day.
Be a man.
Right, exactly. It's okay. I'm up to like 3 containers of nicotine pouches a week. I'm downing a bottle of whiskey per week, and I've spent $200 on like new clothes or cigars or whatever in like a week.
Were you in the military?
I was not. No, I was raised by a man in the military.
Well, and that's
I'm batting 1,000. Never mind.
there you go. Sometimes you just gotta take a pull off the old dart, get her back.
But I mean, I used to. So when I was in my 20s, that was another thing that like. I don't know. When I used to smoke when I was in my 20s, or specifically 20 years old. I smoked for like 6 months, like cigarettes. And when I was done, I was done. Like I was bored with it. I didn't get addicted. But then I started eating.
You found something else to kind of take that spot.
Like my grandfather smoked for 30 years, and then when he quit, gained like 50 pounds. Because I got to do something. I got to fix that. It's a fix. And so I guess my whole point in this whole rant is we have to come to an understanding. Like the point at which healing begins is when you come to an understanding of what the difference between a fix and a healing is. Like when you realize that what you're doing is just a fix, and then you put that thing down or disperse it.
Well, yeah. So like you gotta hit the rock bottom. You gotta want to change, and then you have to figure out what it is that is the actual issue.
Right.
Because usually when you hit rock bottom, you're just like, I've got an issue.
Right.
This is wrong. And then you take that step to go, hey, all right, this is what's wrong. I'm just using all these other avenues just to distract myself, or just to try to keep my mind busy because I hate it when I'm sitting still, or like you find out what it is. And obviously you get a lot better chance at figuring out your shit
Right.
when you got God, when you go to God and go, God, what's wrong with me? Careful with that question, because
you know what's interesting is if you ask him that, sometimes he'll sit there. Not sometimes. If you truly listen, I believe he'll sit there and tell you all the things that he loves about you first.
I think that depends on the person. Because like Jordan Peterson talked about, and he didn't even use God. He was just like, if you notice there's something wrong, or and he goes, the intention has to be pure. Mm-hmm. You have to actually want to change.
Yes.
You have to want to get better. And then you go sit in your bed for about 15, 20 minutes before you go to bed, and you just actively and with a great amount of humility go, what's wrong with me? And you just think, you're going to get a whole bunch of stuff that you don't want to let go of, because you've made it such a habitual habit that you almost like it's a crutch. But the problem is the crutch is keeping you limping when you can easily just be walking. Mm. Because you've gotten so used to the limp into using a cane or a crutch, whatever this crutch is, or however many crutches you have, we all have them, that you just it gets so ingrained because you've been doing it for so long without notice, that when you finally find out that, hey, this is actually, it's helping in bed, or it's helping invite in bed, EMBED.
Right.
Just making sure for the people at home. Like a lot of our habits invite, there have been a couple extras I've been listening to.
Yeah.
Father Chad Rippringer and Father Dan Rehill.
Yeah.
I've heard it pronounced both ways. I don't know what's right.
I've heard it both ways. You watch Psych?
Yes.
I've heard it both ways.
Both of them have talked about, like, the things you do in your daily life. You have no idea what kind of crap you invite in just by the stuff you watch, the stuff you listen to, the stuff you ingest, and then shoot, like, I think I've talked about this for, like, the past, well, I don't know if I've talked about this on here, but I've wanted a tattoo for a long time. And last year, there were actually 2 separate points in last year that I was literally looking at artists and was about to make an appointment. But then something kept nagging at me. And then I hear, I think it was Father Dan Rehill, was like, you got to be careful because you don't know these individuals, especially when it comes to tattoos. You don't know these individuals. He goes, there have been a lot of stuff to where, like, tattoos are actually like an invitation to demonic stuff. Because a lot of these people are extremely troubled, but you don't know if they're a witch that they've been making, even if they think, because there are a lot of witches who are, like, out there, and they're, my sister-in-law is one. And she's like, I'm a good witch. No, you're wrong.
No.
You can't be something good while inviting something extremely evil.
Yeah.
No. You're being lied to. You're being played.
Yeah. There's a pastor. This is a cool story. Were you done?
Well, I was just going to bring in the other guy's quote. You've been beaten at your own game. Did that go the way you thought it did?
Nope. Despot.
I win that battle.
I don't take no shit.
You lose that battle. You lose that battle 9 times out of 10. That go the way you thought it would? Nope.
What's crazy about Dan's brain is he's seen the same 10 movies like a billion times.
No, only at least.
And once I quote them all.
Once I watch it the second time, it's almost like the whole movie's just ingrained in here. And it's all like the best parts. And that is most of the stuff I say going throughout the day.
Full send.
Aim for the bushes.
Aim for the bushes. That was the stupidest plot point I've ever seen in any movie.
When he's driving the Chevy SS through the bus, Samuel Jackson screaming in the background, "You have the right to remain silent!" And then he goes, "I want to hear you scream!" as he plows through this double-decker bus into the bank.
Oh, my God. There's a story of a pastor in Florida. This happened probably 10 years ago. A pastor in Florida, he's in his office, and he hears this, like, commotion outside. And this guy, this man burst into his assistant's, like, so it's like his assistant's office and then his office, right? And they're two, yeah. And so he hears this commotion outside. It's the assistant's area, or the lobby or whatever. And he's like, what in the heck's going on? And this man bursts through the doors. And he says, he falls to his face in front of this pastor. And he says, I'm a warlock. I lead a coven of witches in this city. And I have come face to face with the reality of who Jesus Christ is, and I need him in my life now. This story gives me goosebumps every time I hear it or tell it. And so they pray over him. They pray the things out of him. He accepts Jesus. Like, it's a beautiful story, right? They baptize him, like, right then and there. Like, he does this whole thing. It's beautiful. So after all this is done, the pastor's like, let's talk for a little while. Let's talk for a second. What do you mean you lead a covenant? Like, what do you guys do? I don't know why I got Southern there for a second, but
yeah, you went.
What do you guys do? What do you do?
Well, what's that chicken from Looney Tunes?
Oh, Foghorn Leghorn. Now, what do you guys do? But he's like, what do you guys do? And he said, we curse people. And he was like, how do you know who to curse? And he said, there's a spiritual eye that if you're open to it, and this is why Paul wrote, we do not fight against the forces of this world. We fight against spiritual power, principalities and spiritual powers of another world, right? I butchered that, but powers and principalities of the spiritual world, right? So he was like, well, we curse people, and the way that we know that somebody is a believer is we can see a literal flame that sits right here at their chest. And it's just this little flame that sits like right here. And he was like, if we see those people, we curse them. Just say a little curse, and that's what it is. And he said, but sometimes their whole body is in flames. And the pastor was like, do you mess with those people? And he was like, no, we don't curse those people. He said, why? He said, because we learned that if you mess with those people, it comes back on you 7 times.
Mm-hmm. And the crazy thing is I've heard Father Chad Rippringer talk about that. Because Father Chad Rippringer talks about some of the things he's witnessed and experienced in his exorcisms.
Yeah.
And he was like, what tends to happen, and he's like, there is only one demon I have ever encountered that has continuously lied. And he was like, I knew that was Satan, because he is the chief of all liars.
He's the...
Because he's like, when I'm bringing
father of lies,
Christ in, he goes, the demons all talk about the truth. Yeah. They always say the truth. Now, sometimes they'll give a couple bit of lies, but you can tell. And then you just keep beating them down. And finally, the truth always comes out. And he goes, the only time was he was like, it was the time I knew I was literally in a room with Satan.
Yeah.
But he was talking about how there are certain people that demons won't go after, or it was I'm about to butcher it, but it was along those lines to where like the demons would try to attack certain people, and not even certain people. It was just like once they meet him, the exorcist, everything that they've been supplementing or putting on these people comes right back onto them. And he was like, he goes, yeah, it's unbelievable.
Well, so it's like whatever you mean, like he'll release a demon, but it'll come back to him?
No, like
the
stuff they've been putting, whoever they've been possessing, like whatever they've been putting on them, the people being possessed, that same judgment will come back onto them, will come back onto the demons.
Oh, wow, yeah. Well, there's a principle of healing that they teach in this school that my wife and I are doing. That should work. But it's essentially something that Jesus taught in the Gospels, which is, the disciples are, because like he gave, like all the disciples of which this is a conversation for another time, but essentially like Jesus charged all believers to be disciples of all the world, right? And then he gave his disciples the power.
He gave his apostles.
He gave his disciples, because it said in Scripture, it says he granted the disciples with the power to cast out demons, to heal, to forgive sins, and we're all called to do that for one another. Now, we can get into like the technicality of going to confession and how that's necessary for like mortal sins, because
even if you confess those sins to one another, there's still like a grace that has been given to
persona Christi, which is the priest.
Same thing with the exorcism. There's a reason why all Protestant churches end up going to Catholic priests for exorcisms.
Well, right, because so there's a thing. There's something called a public exorcism, which public is just a word for. So it doesn't mean what it means. So in the Catholic Church, a public exorcism is one that is recorded. So it's a proper exorcism. So you have to go to a priest and you have to get permission from a bishop, and they have to study the case before they do it. Because anybody can call in and be like, I need an exorcist, because there's a difference between possession and oppression.
or obsession, which is it's demonic influence, but it's
yes, correct.
It's a lower level.
Right, exactly. And so there is public exorcism, and then there's private exorcism. And private exorcism can be done by lay people, so people that aren't priests. And but one thing that they're teaching us in this class that we're doing is like Jesus specifically said there's a moment, and I think it's either in Matthew's gospel or Luke's gospel, where the disciples are like, how do we make sure that these things don't come back? And essentially Jesus is like, well, you need to fill him with the Lord. You need to fill that space, because demons take up a space inside you. Whether it's oppression or possession or whatever, that oppression that you've been feeling and that thing that you get healed from it creates a void in you, because that space has been filled with those demons for however long.
Right.
And so when you remove that thing, you fill it with good. Otherwise, and Jesus warns of this, they will come back with 7 of their friends, specifically 7. Mm-hmm. They will come back with 7 of their friends, and it'll be harder for you to get rid of.
Right.
Which is why this all ties back into what I was saying before of like the fixes. Like, that's why people get addicted to things, because they use it as a fix, and then their life is fine. Like, it kind of moves forward. Then you're like, oh no, I need to step back. But you don't fill that space with something healing. You fill it with something different. And so then 9 times out of 10,
whatever you're filling it with, that habit is worse than what was before.
150 million %.
And
that didn't make
sense. It made sense to me. Also, if you're not filling it with God, who is the only thing that can truly
fill it
and uproot it, like not just get most of the roots out.
Right.
If you're not filling it with the one who, basically, one of the things I loved that Father Rippringer said during one of his podcast episodes, not his, but on someone else's, he goes, he said something.
Come on, brother.
And it was good. I promise. Oh, yeah. So he talks about how demons are actually one of the most regulated things that we will ever experience.
Oh, I like where this is going.
Because God has already won. And
Correct.
God has each and every one of them on a leash.
Whoa.
He didn't say that, but that was the extent of what he said.
Talk that shit.
Every single demon. Well, at least I may not be.
No. Talk with confidence. I know what I know where you're going. So say what. Yeah.
Well, all I was gonna say is that every demon has his own personal leash.
Yep.
And God has the reins of every single one of them, including Satan's, including Lucifer's.
Yep.
And obviously he allows it, but the greater good that comes out of you recognizing the stuff that is happening in your heart means that the only way you can uproot it is through him, and that's what God wants. God wants a better. It is the reason why I said what I said in the prayer before.
Yeah.
Is because the only way you can truly get every ounce of darkness uprooted and completely ousted out of your heart and out of your life is by continuing to build and nurture your relationship with the Father.
Yep. 100%. And so there's a principle called the principle of doors. And essentially it's part of our inner healing school that we do. But it's a principle of teaching where we have so much more power than we realize spiritually. As people, and even non-believers, they have spiritual abilities that open doors to certain things. And so a section of, and we'll talk more about this on Thursday, but a section of inner healing is about closing doors. And so there's 4 main doors that the demonic will enter through: a door of anger, a door of fear, a door of sexual sin, and a door of the occult, or like satanic stuff. And so the point of opening these things up is asking the Lord himself to reveal the doors that have been opened, where and when was this opened, and how do we get it shut? Because the reality is, it's the same as, dude, it's the same as like the bugs in here. Like, we have the ability to keep ourselves protected. We have the ability to keep ourselves grounded and rooted in the Lord. When you step outside of those things, it opens doors to things that you don't want. And it creates space for things to move in.
Mm-hmm.
And once those things have moved in, it's an excavation of those things that is required, and then a filling of those areas. And so, like the principle of doors, for example, so like I was doing, dude, one of my favorite priests, and he's borderline exorcist. He's an amazing man. Not that all priests aren't amazing, but his name is Father Roger Fleming. And he's kind of making a name for himself around, not purposefully, but just like the things that he does. And he's been through this school that my wife and I are doing. And he's now one of the teachers at the school. And he told me once, we were having a conversation, and he was like, what people don't understand is when you pray for the forgiveness of a certain sin, you need to remove anything that those guys were attached to, that sin was attached to. And so let's take the example of overindulgence. Let's talk about alcohol, right? The overindulgence of alcohol, or the use of it to get drunk, right? The spirit of drunkenness, let's say. So then what you want to do is go into prayer, and you want to go into that, and the Lord will honestly, if you ask honestly and wholeheartedly, he will reveal to you whatever door that entered into or in from. And it's usually from a wound that you experience. So let's say fear is actually a huge door that people open, because fear is anxiety. They're practically the same thing. Fear of the future is just anxiety, right? And so let's say that you open a door to fear because you didn't know how this job was going to turn out, or you messed up and you don't know what your punishment is going to be at work or whatever. You open that door to fear and you're like, okay, cool. I need to go home and I need to take a load off and I need to have a few drinks. And so then it leads to drunkenness, and then it could lead to, I don't know, pornography. It could lead to getting in an argument with your wife. It could lead to making
Severe
stupid
anger.
It could lead to anger. It could lead to making stupid purchases, or it could lead to
all of it.
Right, it could lead to all of it. And so basically, what Father Fleming was saying was like, you need to be aware of all of those things that one thing is attached to. Because the reality is the door isn't closed until all those things are recognized and then removed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so like when you talk about AA, they don't sit in the meetings and talk about only alcohol consumption. You get to know these people. So like I know somebody that went through a year of rehab. He went to a place and lived there for a year. Mm-hmm. To get rehabilitated. You get to know these men. You get to know these people and their entire life. Because in order to see where the addiction started, you need to know where the wound began.
What led to it?
What wound was created that led to this thing?
What snowflake started the avalanche?
Well, if you want to tear down a house, you don't just like start in the small spaces or the cracks of the roof or whatever. No, you go to the foundation of it. Like if they're tearing down a building in the middle of the city, Where do they place all the explosives? The pressure points. The points that are the strongest. Not the windows. You don't put an explosive just on the roof. Like,
unless you're Batman trying to leave the building with your victim or suspect.
back then they didn't have victims.
I'm sorry, that was Batman.
But you get what I'm saying. It's like you have to hit all the foundational pressure points. So.
Yeah. Well, and kind of going back to like the doorways, there's this girl that's been kind of making a wave around, and she was an ex-witch. I think her handle's called Cove to Christ or something like that.
Okay.
Like big time witch.
Yeah.
And she's been going on podcasts talking about like her conversion story, and
Oh, I think I've seen this person.
she's British.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was one podcast. I don't know the name of the actual podcast, but there was a
Was she
clip
on
of
Sean
it.
Ryan's podcast?
No.
Oh, I was thinking something else.
Both Father Dan Rehill and Father Chad Rippringer have episodes with Sean Ryan, and I would highly recommend listening to them.
Even if you don't believe in this stuff, go listen.
I dare you.
Yeah.
It is so insightful
and it's compelling, and it's the amount of knowledge that these men have on the human condition is unbelievable.
And and this is actually right before we started the podcast. Like I was telling you, end times have really been forefront on my mind.
Sure.
Like, I believe we're in the end of days. We're not, and obviously I don't mean we're all gonna get died tomorrow, but
We're all going to get died.
yeah, we're all gonna get the death. But
There's a lot of things that are happening that are of biblical proportion.
There are things that have been prophesied that are going to happen in the end times that have already happened.
Yeah.
And Father Chad Rippringer talks about some of those things.
Sure.
But one of the things that we're kind of waiting on is how Elijah and Enoch are going to come back.
Yeah. Which this is all in the Bible, so if you don't agree with us, just go read.
And how both of them are going to come preaching about you guys need to fix, like you guys need to stop. Because even Father Rippringer talks about how this generation, the generation we are currently in, is more sinful than the flood times, more sinful than Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah.
And it's all because technology makes it so easy.
Yeah.
And so, like, it just spreads.
Right.
And so we're waiting on Elijah and Enoch and how their deaths are going to be viewed by all, because it's going to be mass viewed.
Careful.
Well, whose death was just most recently publicly done? And
You're going to piss a lot of people off, Dan.
What did he stand for again?
You're going to piss a lot of people off, Dan.
What did he stand for again?
Oh, yeah.
Truth, coming to Christ, and yet his death all over social media.
Yeah.
While it happened, he was doing a live video when it happened.
Yeah. Yep.
I'll just leave that there. I'm not sorry. You're welcome. But
I'm not disagreeing with you.
So, thoughts that I've been having recently are, have one of them already happened?
Oh, did one of them already come back?
Was Charlie Kirk one of them? I don't know.
I don't know.
It very well be as forward as, hey, this guy's name is Elijah.
It may be, yeah.
And all of a sudden he's going to get executed on live television or all over social media, which more people watch social media than live television anyway. Yeah. Oops. But it very well may be that forward to where God might just give us that simple of like a, hey, no, this guy's name is actually Enoch.
Yeah.
And he's been telling everyone to stop. Stop what you're doing. Turn back. Repent. We're all acting like idiots right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we are.
All of us.
Every single one of us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you or me are not excluded. We make our mistakes.
I had a rant at work today because some guy wanted to like start talking politics and like start, which I don't subscribe to either side. There are certain people that I voted for, blah blah blah, whatever. But like I don't actually. Andy Frisella recently made this statement. He was like, I do not buy into the Republican Party. I do not buy into the Conservative Party. I don't buy into the Libertarian Party. I don't buy into the Liberal Party. I don't buy into the Democratic Party. I buy into the party that is better for the American people. I buy into the party that this Constitution and the Declaration of the United States is still valid, and that is what we should run this country on. I don't care what you have to say. I don't care that you argue. It's a waste of time. I care about the American people. I care about us as a people. And that's where we should be.
Absolutely. That's where, I would almost take a stand and be like, no, we need to oh, this is going to piss me off. I can't remember the priest's name. I used to listen to him all the time, especially when I first converted. He had a podcast on Ave Maria Radio. There's an app, you can get it, and his podcast is named Christ is the Answer. He had this thought, and I love it. The two things we should be talking about most in life are religion and politics, because those are the two things that have the most impact on our life.
Yeah, I'm listening.
John
Ricardo.
Yes,
Father John
Ricardo.
Yep.
Love that guy. He's up in Detroit, or up in Michigan, I think near Detroit.
I was going to say, Detroit's in Michigan, dude.
Yes, but I couldn't remember if his parish was actually in Detroit or if it was like just outside of it in like a suburb. Anyway, he talks about how religion and politics need to be talked about because those are the two things that impact life the most.
Yeah.
But how do you talk to somebody who, the moment that you say something that disagrees with someone else's viewpoint, they instantly take it as an attack? And I'll say, us Christians, we do it too.
Oh, yeah.
We do it too.
If not more so.
Especially when it comes to religion. Anytime someone states a viewpoint, hey, I just have this differing opinion, you just blow it as an attack, or you blow it up as an attack on your person. When it's like, no, they have a different upbringing than you. Which is like, everything that's been happening around lately, I'll just say, I was on the Trump train back in 2016. I was like, let's drain the swamp.
Yeah.
Because that's what I wanted. I knew it was like filled with greed. I didn't know it was filled with Satanism, though. That's what the entire...
Careful, Dan.
No, fuck that. We're all being too careful. No. Keep that F word in, too. No. Our entire political system is run by a bunch of Satanist child sacrificing who all they care about is money. And it's not just America. It's the whole world. The World Economic Forum, Bilderberger Group, I'm just going to say, is a real thing. They just had a meeting 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And they're... You know what? I'd rather err on this side than 99% of them sacrifice kids to Baal and Moloch.
So there is
when Epstein's bank account was literally named Baal.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Like, it is that in your face.
Yep.
He also didn't kill himself. He's not dead. So.
You don't think he's dead?
No. There was, in fact, recently, there's a guy named Julian Dory who has an awesome podcast. He has a bunch of, like, CIA people and investigative journalists on. He just had, there's 2 CIA guys.
The guy in the glasses?
No, that's John Kiriakou. He's hilarious. But it's the other guy, Bustamante. the big kind of like massive curly fro.
Oh, yeah,
He cut it now, though.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have it, which publicity-wise, bad move. And Julian Dory talks about that. Those things were glorious, his hair. But he did I think this was with Discovery or Nat Geo. He was doing a show with them that Julian Dory got invited to, and it was because Bustamante or whoever was doing the show was investigating Epstein's death. They completely scale created Epstein's cell. And this guy, this CIA guy, Bustamante, literally on his podcast or on this live television show before going in was like, that's just a conspiracy. That's just no, it's a hoax. The whole, like, he died in that cell. He committed suicide, all that stuff. By the end of it, and they go, and Julian Dory goes, we spent 6 hours doing filming for the show, talking through this whole thing. And he goes, by the end of it, Bustamante's like, and this is someone in the CIA.
Yeah.
Is going, oh.
This isn't real.
No, the suicide isn't real.
No, well, of course not. No.
It at least wasn't a suicide. But now there's a bunch of evidence coming out that
That he just disappeared.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Which he had enough money and enough people in his pocket to do so.
Riddle me this. Okay. So I'm just going to add to it. Hitler also didn't die in his bunker. He didn't just bust a cap in his cantaloupe.
He was too much of a narcissist to kill himself.
Not just narcissist. He had, like, there were papers and there were things and people who described him going down to Argentina, Buenos Aires, out to Spain to talk to the dictator in Spain, Buenos Aires, Chile, Paraguay, and meeting with the people who ran the government before he invaded Poland.
Yeah.
What was he doing there? Like, he wasn't just going down there for a cup of espresso, having a nice cigar, and just being like, oh, this place looks fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
No. He was rubbing that little tiny toothbrush mustache into any pocket he could get in, so that way, if shit hit the fan, spoiler alert, it did.
He had a way out.
He had numerous outs.
Yeah. Well, that was the whole thing.
You
Yeah.
You think if Hitler, who ran one country, did that, you don't think someone who had shit on everyone who ran every single first world country and could get them to do anything he wanted, say anything he wanted, just because, guess what? I'm a spokesperson for the Rothschild family.
And I have enough dirt on you to ruin your children's lives.
It wasn't just that, though. It was a compromise system, which isn't just blackmail. It was a compromise system, meaning some people he would just flat out come to and just go, hey, if I get you on tape doing this egregious act and you give me that, I will take care of you. I will take care of your family. I will take care of your family's family.
Right.
Anything money-wise that you could need, I've got you. As long as you give me you doing this horrendous act on camera.
Yeah.
I'll get you the connections. I'll get you the money. Because money was primarily what it was about.
Well, and Solomon warned about this 2,000 years ago. Or however many years ago. Like 3,000 years ago. Whatever. Money is the root of all evil. The love of money is the root of all evil.
Why do you think Jesus said it's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter heaven? Father Dan Rehill talked on Sean Ryan's podcast, or it was either that or Michael Knowles. He goes, not every single wealthy person I've ever met, but he goes, this rings true on most wealthy people I've met. You hit a certain point in like wealth generating in which like pride has taken way too much hold of your system, of your heart.
Yeah.
Because you finally hit a point in which you were like, I've taken care of my family. They're set up financially. I've taken care of, I took care of it.
Yeah.
I've made enough social influence to where I know that even if I lose my money, I can take care of myself. I can take care of my family. I can take care of my friends. And instead, because you are now at that point in your heart, you've let go of God. There's no point. I can take care of myself.
Yeah.
You forget what happens when you die. Oh, yeah, I can't take care of it. But most people just think, oh, but I've set up a trust fund. My family's taken care of. What happens after you die, though? You. What happens to you?
You're in the ground.
Your body, sure. What happens to your soul?
Yeah.
People forget that they have a soul, and there is an after.
Yeah.
And this is part of the healing I've been going through. I have not been sacrificing kids.
I don't think you have.
I have not. But I've been, the past year, I've been saying I've been surviving when really I've been consistently turning my back on God, living in the now by the means of, okay, in the physical world, I've got money to take care of my car. I've got money to take care of my bills.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go have a couple drinks.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go get drunk.
Yeah.
Try to numb it. Try to numb this emptiness that I feel, which I knew was me not being in proper relationship with God. But I was like, there's always confession tomorrow. That's why I think so much this idea of the end times are hitting me, is because I use that excuse of, well, I've got confession tomorrow.
Cheap grace.
That's not cheapening the grace. That's spitting on it.
But it is cheap grace. It is the idea that it's the once saved, always saved idea that Protestants cling to, which is like, I'm saved now, I can do whatever I want, I'll still make it to heaven.
Which, Father, I'm not even going to try to name it, because Father Ripperinger talked about the Catholic Church does have this idea. It's not predestination, but it is predestined, as in when the Israelites killed Christ, the Jews stopped being the people of God. They stopped being God's people when they put Christ to death, which is a Zionist term, which Zionism is the belief that Israel is above everyone else.
Yeah.
That's breaking it down to very layman's terms, is that Israel still deserves the land. Israel still deserves all these things. When in reality, Christ was the pride is way too much. You're putting the Son of God to death. You don't believe me. When God himself, I'm speaking to you face to face.
Yeah.
And yet you still won't believe me. It was just like the Pharaoh when Moses was like, let my people go. Pharaoh kept hardening his heart. And then finally at the end, what God said was like, because if you read through the Old Testament, it keeps saying with every single, not disaster, but plague. It kept, Moses would come back and be like, let my people go.
Yeah.
Pharaoh would harden his own heart and be like, no. Pharaoh would harden his own heart. Pharaoh would harden his own heart. And then finally, after God killed his firstborn, Moses goes, let my people go. And Pharaoh goes, fine, get away before I change my mind. And then as they're going away, Pharaoh changed his mind. And that's when it says God hardened his own heart, or God hardened Pharaoh's heart. But it was more of God came in, tried to give him the Spirit, at least from what I've heard described. And then Pharaoh went, nope. And it was like a complete hardness.
Yeah.
And that was something that when Christ was put to death, I see literally what happened with Pharaoh and Moses as a type meaning like it was a foreshadowing of what was going to happen with Christ. The Israelite people just kept hardening their own heart at what Christ was saying, which was be humble, repent. You guys have taken this way overboard, which is what we do as humans.
We take everything overboard. It's the overindulgence.
Like we are not exempt in Christ's like call of repentance. But because I was living in a space of, well, I can just go. I've got Tuesday off. There's a parish that has Tuesday evening confessions. I can go to confession. While I was living in a very bad state of mortal sin.
Yeah.
And I'll be very open with you guys, you listeners. I wasn't going to mass.
Yeah. No.
I was hardening my own heart to God, and thank God he doesn't give up.
Yeah.
But the end times coming was a massive wake-up call.
Yeah.
And it was the wake-up call I needed. And that's why focusing your life on building that relationship with the Father, because that's all he wants.
All he wants to do is heal.
He wants you to be his son.
Yeah.
And he wants you to recognize that you are his son and his daughter. And he is the Father.
Yep.
And he wants that relationship.
And that's the greatest healing anybody can ever receive.
Yeah, it's the story of the prodigal son.
Which is more about the Father than the Son.
Well, it's to teach us who the Father really is.
Well, that's what I mean. It's
right.
Like the section of the Bible is that story is the prodigal son, but the reality of that story is that the Father never stops, and he never gives up, and he never hates. He never, like, if you turn, he's always there with open arms, and he'll run to you.
And I think that it depends on what season or where you're at spiritually, like with your relationship with the Father, that, you know, if you're someone who is constantly living in sin and not really caring that you're living in sin, that story is definitely about the son coming back.
Oh, sure.
It's about the son, again, hitting rock bottom. It's about a Jewish son hitting rock bottom and eating with the pigs. You know, animals you're not even supposed to touch and eat because they're so filthy, yet you're eating with them in the trough.
Yeah.
You literally, at a time in which your family honor was huge, that while your father was alive, you as the youngest son, go, give me my inheritance. You mean nothing to me. You're dead to me.
Yeah.
And then your father gives you that inheritance.
Anyway.
And lets you go off. Blow it on hookers. Blow it on, well, nowadays, fentanyl. And hookers.
Yeah.
Like, and then when you're eating with the pigs, when you're eating with the animals that you're not even supposed to eat because they're so dirty and filthy, according to your nationality, your cultural heritage, and go, the servants of my Father even have way better than I have right now. And then again, this is where confession is so crucial. You gotta have a repentant heart. And this is something that was every time I go to confession, if I can remember, is, God, please help me be truly sorry for this.
Yeah.
Because I want to have that real relationship, and I don't want my pride of like, well, I gotta have this thing. Keep me from loving you in the fullness. Because even when, and I was telling you this on the phone, you know, like, especially when I got that wake-up call, I was so afraid of being sent down to hell that I was like, oh my gosh, I got to get to confession. I gotta start talking with God. But it was all because I was afraid of hell. But even if your relationship with God is only or is solely driven by the fact that you are afraid of hell, more so than you just want to love God, that's not a real relationship. Think about it with your own father. Right? If you are just conversing with your father, or you are just showing your father love because you don't want to be punished,
Yeah.
what kind of relationship is that?
Yeah. It's a real relationship that requires the recognition of wrongs. It's a relationship with yourself enough that requires a self-diagnosis of, I've been here too long, it's time to turn around. And accept the healing that is always given, and that it is always available.
That is another thing. You can go to confession all you want, and you may still beat yourself up for it, but God has given you that forgiveness.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes that's a big thing people need healing from, is this feeling of unworthiness.
Yeah.
I heard the priest say the absolution. I heard it word for word.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't deserve it.
Yeah.
None of us do.
Yeah.
That's not the point. The point is, yet God still gives it, and depending upon your heart with this, you're spitting on the present. You're spitting on the gift that God has given you, which is absolution.
Yeah.
Which also is another thing Father Rippringer talks about, and Father Rehill talks about, is if there is any sort of demonic oppression, obsession, influence on your life, when you go into confession and the priest absolves you, those chains are broken.
Yeah.
Is that it?
I'm amazed by you, my friend.
Oh, the fact that I've been too lazy to shave my head.
No, that all that's going on, and you're aware of it. It's a truly incredible thing to watch your best friend come out of the pit that he so readily has called home for the last 6 months to a year, and there's nothing I can do to pull you out.
No, it's all God. And that's something that we ended our conversation in the car. Is a life well lived. Is a life that is so reliant upon God, because you don't know what the next hour has in store for you, that you are so reliant and you are leaning upon God with every ounce of your being. That's where God wants all of us. Because then God's like, hold my beer.
Yep. Let me show you what I really have.
Let me show you what I can really do. Because now that you've let go of the so-called range you thought, which really was more like you're in a car, or you're in one of those like motorized kind of like, it looks like a car, but it's a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Right? You're on rails. God has the wheel. But then you've got like the play wheel that's right next to it that just spins in circles. And you're like, God, look at me, I'm steering. God's like, yeah, no. And so when you finally let go of that play wheel and you just go, I don't need to be afraid. Why do I need to be afraid of letting go? Because if I rely upon God, and God is who he says he is, and Christ is his son, who is perfectly God and perfectly human, and when Christ can just walk by a fig tree with no fruit and go, I curse you, and then turns out it just withers and dies, like, what? But then not only that, out of the deep pit that I was in, Christ has come pull me out and get me out of my pride, get me out of my... and completely flip the switch. What can't he do?
What's crazy is that he owned the switch. He was just waiting for you to let go of it.
Yeah, because I was about to go because I was sitting there fucking with it, but I was sitting there just going on, off, on, off, on, off. See, I'm in control now, God.
I love you, pal.
So God had to kind of give me a little,
Get your hand off that.
stop it.
There's nothing in here.
I got to change the light again. Go to confession.
Here's to healing.
Go to God.
Amen.
Don't be afraid. And if you are afraid, even give that to him.
Yeah.
And watch what he does with that. Because the moment you truly open your heart with him and tell him, God, I'm angry with you. Mm-hmm. I see things this way. Why did this happen to me?
Yeah.
Yet you recognize that everything you're going through, if you let God will use it. God will use it and go, because eventually you're just going to hit a point and you're going to go, thank God I went through this. Because there are so many people that if I didn't go through this, what would have happened to them?
Yeah.
What would have happened to their relationship with God? Mm. So thank God God was willing to let me go through that and stay with me in it.
Yeah.
Because if not...
What then? Thank you all so much for joining us at the table. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.